is going around that we are headed for a recession. Some people say we're not, and some people say we are. Based on my opinion, I think we're already in one. And that recession starts with your household. It doesn't start with your neighbor's house, it starts with your household. And so when we look at a recession, that means we ain't got enough money, we ain't got enough product. The tariffs, everybody has heard about the tariffs and what it's doing to our country, what it will do to our country, including the Medicare, Medicaid, people like me on Social Security. We're worried about the Social Security and everything. So we got to start to think about our finances a little bit more. We got to start to plan more. When we think about financial literacy, we think about the ability to understand and to effectively manage various financial matters. And it starts from babies. It starts from these young people back here. You don't wait till you get to my age to start trying to learn how to manage. You have to start early. So I'm encouraging parents to start teaching your children now. Don't wait. Because when you wait, sometimes you end up like myself. I messed up. I didn't have anybody to teach me about finances. When I came up, I was an impoverished little black girl in the country, living in a house, didn't have no bathroom. Imagine that. Didn't have no bathroom, didn't have parents to teach me. But you know, I knew just enough to pray. And I knew just enough to read. My mother told me, and my sister, this is my sister, by the way, this is Doris. And I have a son back there, that's Jeremy. And his family, minus one, Demetria, and two of their children, and Tracy, a cousin, Arve, a friend, a sister friend. Yeah, she was a part of Treasure Vessels as well. So I thank y'all for coming. But anyway, we didn't have a lot of information to start with. But the one thing that I knew as growing up, I had to decide early in life what I was going to do to get out of poverty. To get out of poverty. I can't say I'm way above it now, but thank God that I am doing better than I was. And so one of the things that I did, and my sister as well, we both went to work for the bank. We used to go in the bank. I used to look up at the little teller that was sitting up there. I said, you know what, I want to be like her. I want to sit behind there, and I want to pay out some money. And I said, I'm going to get me a job, because if I get a job in a bank, then I'm going to have a lot of money. Well, that was a lie. That was a lie. But anyway, I did. I went to work for State Employees Credit Union over 44 years ago. I retired with 44 years of service. And during that time, I'll tell you a little bit about me. Thank you, thank you. During that time, I realized what I had to do was to learn, young people, learn, read everything that you could possibly read. I taught myself how to run a DOS computer by reading a DOS. You don't know what that is. I know you don't. You ever heard of it? Okay. Well, I taught myself how to work on it with Sister Fidelia. We were down there under that counter. Girl with them spiders, you remember that? Down there with them spiders under that counter, learning how to work on computers. And I don't know about Fidelia. I didn't know what I was doing. Did you? No. We didn't know what we were doing, but we kept those computers running. And so I remember when Fidelia came to work at the credit union, I told her, I said, girl, I'm going to give you a calculator. Take it home with you. You remember that? I said, take this calculator home, and you work with it. You work with it. Because you know what? She was my sister. She was my friend from the day she walked in the door. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you a secret right now, Fidelia. I know I'm going to wait for that. I got to tell you something. Tell everybody. It's a little secret. But anyway, I want to start with my subject matter this afternoon is going to be who can trust you? Who can trust me? It's all about trust. When you think about your finances, who can trust you with money? Who can trust you with anything? So when you think about trust, trust is something that is earned. It's actions, it's consistency, it's integrity. And so, and when you think about trust, you also think about honesty, reliability, and that goes everywhere in life. It don't matter where you are. It goes on the job, goes in school, it goes in your home. So when you think about trust, can God trust you? Can God trust you? He can trust me. God gave me, when I think about God, God created everything. Everything. From the beginning of time, when you look at Genesis 1 said, in the beginning there was nothing. Like I said, I had nothing. I started with nothing. And God created me. He created a financial system for me and my family and my sister and my mother and father. He created that. And so we were able to live. And what somebody told me as late as this week, they said, we didn't know y'all didn't have no bathroom. I said, you mean you didn't know we didn't have a bathroom? I said, no, we did not. And she said, I didn't know y'all were so poor either. And I said, yeah, we were. I said, but you know what? My mama made us look good. She gave us courage. She gave us wisdom. And she gave us Jesus, number one. She gave us Jesus. And so from that, we learned how to delight ourselves in the Lord. And one of my favorite scriptures says that if I delight myself in the Lord, he will give me the desires of my heart. And so when I think about that, he gave me the desire of my heart, and he gave it to me in record time, as a matter of fact. And, and when we think about money, I don't think about money much. When I was managing State Employees Credit Union, I think we were managing around, was it $2 million a month? Yeah, it's about $2 million a month. And when I think about managing that much money back then, I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we did it, but that was God. I would go in the mornings. I take my oil, but they didn't know I was doing this. I'd anoint them doors. And then I go on upstairs. Every morning I would do that because I knew that God would cover me no matter what. God would cover my staff no matter what. And so, because it was rough over there on Summit Avenue. And so, who said that? But it was rough. And so when I think about money, I don't really think about money. So when I was talking about the $2 million, I looked at that as being paper, numbers and graphs and, reports and that kind of thing. I didn't look at it as being what it truly is. And when I think about $2 million now, I wish I had it right now. I wish I had it. But it didn't belong to me. It didn't belong to me. So it was not a problem for me to manage that kind of money. And even my daughter-in-law, she was there too. She was writing up money. You know what she did? She was a loan officer. She was a loan officer. My son came in there and stole her. But anyway, that's a long story. But anyway, so I think of wealth. Who can tell me what wealth means to you? I don't think about money. I think of wealth. Anybody? What's your opinion? There's no wrong or right answer. Excuse me? Okay. All right. Well, you walk right up here. Come on up here. Because you spoke out. I'm going to reward you for speaking out. You know, because as I said, there is no wrong or right answer. It is about being healthy. It's about, see her over there, she got some presents. Yeah. But it is about being healthy. When I think about wisdom, wisdom comes from God, right? God is wisdom. So when you think about your finances, the first thing you do, you got to think about what God say about your finances. He gives us the power to get wealth. Ain't that what the scripture says? He gives us the power to get wealth. So therefore, if he gives us the power, he also gives us a plan. And therefore, we have to follow God's plan, not our own. And so, wisdom comes from the Word of God in pursuit of financial management knowledge. That's my meaning. Financial management knowledge. So, God will teach us how to manage our finances if we just ask him. And so, one of the things when I was growing up in the church, I grew up in the church all of my life. There was a title that they gave to a group of men in the church, and it was called trustees. Do y'all have trustees? Yeah, but basically the deacon board is the trustees. Okay, okay. So they're the managers. They are money managers too. At my church, when I was growing up as a young person, they managed the finances of the church. They take up the money and they go count the money. They put it in the bank. They submit a report for the money of the church. But God has created each one of you to be a trustee. Can you do that? Can he trust you to be a trustee? There's a trustee sitting back there in the blue. She used to be a trustee. Harvey was a trustee as of late. So trustees manage the money of their homes, the banks. When you are an officer of a bank, you are considered to be a trustee. So where's your bank? It's in your home. So in order to be a trustee, you have to have good money management skills. So you have to manage well. And when, and it's illegal. There's some legal things involved with being a trustee. We had to be bonded. When we became trustees of the bank, we had to be bonded. So God bonds you. He bonds you. So therefore, if he give you wealth, you have to manage well. You can't be frivolous, spending your money in a kind of way, throwing it away, cheating folk. Can't do that either. You have to be a good trustee. So one of the things that I learned, that even when you manage well, sometimes you're not going to always please the people around you. They're not going to always like your management skills. You can also intimidate them because you're managing well. And so one of the things that happened in my life was years ago. I don't tell this story much because it was very hurtful to me, but I'm going to tell it. I was the manager of Summit Avenue. Anybody ever been demoted in here? Anybody? Who? Huh? You were? Okay, come up here and get you a present. I'm going to promote you because God promotes you. God promotes you. Man don't demote you. They might think they demote you, but you know what? You're doing just fine now, aren't you? Yes. Okay. So am I. But I got demoted. How about that? I got demoted from the management position because, simple, I intimidated somebody because I managed well. I knew how to treat people. I knew how to cover my people. I love my people. And you know what? And we kept that money together, didn't we? That $2 million a month, we managed it well. So I got demoted. I cried. But you know what? I stopped because you know what God told me? He said, don't cry, I got you. He said, I got you covered. I need you to continue to manage well, to manage your money well. And so when I changed my focus and God showed me in the Word, He showed me that can't nobody take nothing away from you that I've given to you. I've given you dominion. I've given you wisdom. And I've given you power. And so from that, I would say, if you have ever been in a situation where someone didn't treat you fairly, don't worry about it, because you're going to get promoted. Amen. You're going to get promoted. Amen. So that is just a little tidbit to tell you that even in your demotion, you learn how to be a good steward over what God has given you. A good steward over the money, good steward over the education, good steward over everything. A steward is someone who, no matter what, you're working for your betterment. So when you're going through, whatever you're going through, you just keep on being a good steward. And there's in the book of Luke, this is one of the hardest parables in the book of Luke. Luke 1. Luke 1 through 13. When I looked at that, when God showed me this during the time that I was going through my little fit, God showed me these scriptures. He said, in the book of Luke, it says, if you have your Bibles, turn to it. This is the last time we're going to look at it, but it's worth looking at. Because there's some things in there that's gonna help us to become better. Okay, Luke 1 says, Jesus also said to his disciples, there was a rich man who had a manager, and charges were brought to him that this man was wasting his possessions. And he called him and said to him, this is the Everyday Standard Version, by the way. He called to him and said to him, what is this that I hear about you? Turn in your account of management. Remember that, account of management. And the manager said to himself, what shall I do since my master is taking the management away from me? I am not strong enough to dig. I am ashamed to beg. I have decided what to do. That when I am removed from management, people may receive me into their houses. So summoning his manager's debtors, remember that one? Debtors. One by one, he said to the first, how much do you owe my master? He said, 100 measures of oil. He said to him, take your bill and sit down quickly and write 50. Sound like he about to cheat. This one messed me up. Then he said to another, how much do you owe? He said, 100 measures of wheat. He said to him, take your bill and write 80. The master commended the dishonest manager. That was not me, but it was somebody. For his shrewdness, he commended him. Now, why would the manager commend him for his shrewdness when he was supposedly being dishonest? Anybody have a reason that you can think of? In my studies, there were many reasons. Anybody have one? No, there's no wrong or right question. Answer, huh? The scripture, the question. Why do you think, why do you think that he was commended, that he was, commended meant that he praised him for being such a shrewd manager. Now he was the one that was cheated, supposedly out of the money, was going to be cheated. Why do you think he praised him? That he was shrewd. Shrewd meaning that he was astute, he was smart, he was thinking out of the box. Why do you think he praised him for that? Let's just say praised him for that. Okay, we're going to go on. Because there was a reason that he praised him, that he commended, the word said commended him. For the sons of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than the sons of light. So the sons of this world are unbelievers. The sons of light are believers. So what he was saying was that these the sons of the world sitting up there in the White House, they're more shrewd than the believers. We walking around here poor mouth and spending up our money, wasting it. And when we ought to be thinking about other things, number one, we ought to be thinking about what we can do to build the kingdom, build kingdom in the earth. What we can do to prepare for eternity. Because these scriptures is talking about eternal, building up for our eternal home. It's really not about the money. When Jesus wrote parables, it was to teach the disciples through a story. So when you look at this, you got to think differently. One of the things that I said about, when he was accused, is that maybe they lied on him too. Somebody did. Maybe, just maybe, may make you think about it. Maybe not. Maybe he really did. But that was not the purpose of the parable. The purpose was, it was the investment in the kingdom for eternal life. And so we have to think about the wealth. And if you go on down in those scriptures, one who is faithful, that's at number 10. It said, one who is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. Okay? One who is dishonest in very little is also dishonest in much. So, if then we have not been faithful in righteous wealth, now this is the good wealth. This is what God gives us. That unrighteous wealth is the wealth of the world. It's that cheating. It is that stuff that they're doing up in D.C., them tricks and mirrors wealth. So we have to think about what kind of wealth are we spending? What kind of wealth are we managing? Righteous wealth. That's what God gives us. Who will entrust you to true riches? Who will trust you? If you can't manage wealth, if you can't manage your money, who gonna trust you with any money? Let's just say it like that. So you got to start now trying to do a better job. And if you go on to the end of these scriptures in verse 13, it said, who can serve two masters? You can't serve God and you can't serve money. So we choose to serve who? God. Okay. And if we choose to serve God, then we are going to do a better job of wealth management. And when we think of wealth management, we want to think about budgeting. Budgeting account management, budgeting. Pass those out, Dars. We have to think about how we plan a budget. Most people don't think about that. You just take your dollars and you go out there and you throw them away. You don't think about how you're spending them. First thing you want to think about is credit management. Credit management. Young people, when you go to college, if they offer you a credit card, don't take it. Do not take it. It's a setup from hell. Excuse me. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Don't take those credit cards. I have watched that on credit reports, and they cause so many issues. And, you know, they go out and they buy cars. I said, baby, when I was writing loans, I used to say, baby, tell me, what did you use that $10,000 for on that credit card? I bought me a car. I said, you bought your car? Well, where's the car? Oh, it ain't running now. I'm like, but they still paying that credit card for 20 years. So be careful with that. So, but you have to plan for success. What I'm passing out is, number one, is a budget. It's a spending plan. So it is something that you can look over. We're not going to get into it because it would take too long. So, but I want you to take that with you and look it over and put your money on paper. If you are going to make an investment in the future, you know, in the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah says God has a plan for you. He had a plan for you even before you were in your mother's womb. So you got to look at the plan of God, the plan of God. And then if you go on down in Jeremiah, in verse 5, 29:5, he states that we should build houses. Build houses. How many homeowners we have in here? Okay, how many want to be homeowners? Who want to buy a home? Okay, all right. Okay, all them young people back there want to buy a home. Who's the oldest one in that group back in the back? Come on, baby, I got a present for you, I believe. Come on. Come on up. How old are you? Yeah, you're right, the right age. What this is a present for you. Since you want to buy a home, get that over there. I ain't got it over here. Okay. But since you want to buy a home, I want you to listen closely. Listen closely. Because home ownership starts with a plan. Years ago, over 30 plus years ago, my husband and I, who's deceased now, my husband and I decided we were going to build a home. And what we did was, it was even my son who's here, who is a builder, was a young little boy. We decided we were going to build a home, so we started planning. He came to me one day and said, I'm going to build a house. And I said, for what? You don't know nothing about building. I'm not going to use no contractor. And I said, okay. I said, well, how are we going to do it? He said, you're going to get a book and you're going to learn what we need to do, and I'm going to go out and hire the subs. He said, I'm going to get the subs, and you're going to, I talked to the man at the bank. I said, well, what did you take to the bank? He said, I ain't take nothing. So I said, okay. We bought land, and he paid for the land, and I didn't even know he had bought the land, but he bought it, paid cash for it. So then I said, well, you know, it looks like we do need a house because I want to get out from over here. And so I decided that I needed a plan. So when I went to the bank and asked for, back then, the money that we needed back then was $135,000. You can't bill them for that now. It was a 9-room house, believe it or not. But we needed $135,000. And so I walked in the bank. Well, first thing I did what you see there. I made a plan. I wrote the budget out. I showed the man that I could afford the house, that we could afford the house. I had bought plans for the house. Um, I had bought plans. I learned how to read the plans. Um, and basically, we decided between the two of us that we could do that. But who was going to believe us? Who was going to believe us? So I bought me a little portfolio. I put all my little papers in there, and I went to NCNB, sat down and talked to the man, and I showed him the plan. And so when I showed him the budget, and he said, well, I believe y'all can do this. He said, Miss Simpson, I think you and Mr. Jerry, he called him Mr. Jerry, because that's where he banked. I didn't bank there. But anyway, he said, I think y'all can do this. And he said, I'm going to give y'all the money. And believe it or not, he gave us that $135,000, and we didn't even have a contractor's license. Gave it to us in cash. And I said, okay, I got to manage this money. So therefore, the plan was extended. And do you know, we finished that house in six months. We only had a $10,000 overrun based on the budget and the plan that we made to build. And I lived in that house for over 30 years. And so I'm telling you that. So if you are planning to buy a house, start planning now. Your first step is to do your budget. So when you go to the bank, if you bank with the credit union, let me tell you something. Most people in these financial institutions don't know, especially in lending. Am I right for that? They don't know any more than you do. It is scary. So you go in knowing your information, what you want, and how much you can afford, because people will put you in something that you cannot afford. And that's where we get in trouble. So don't let people put you in stuff. Cars, I like cars, and I want a new Mercedes-Benz. I want a Maybach. I'm just be real with you. I want a Maybach. Look, my son is shaking his head back there. But you know what? I ain't foolish enough to go buy a Maybach because I know better. But what I'm saying is, if I walked in and said, okay, I want a Maybach, and they say, how much you gonna put down? Okay, I'm gonna put down $150,000. That's just putting down on the Maybach. I need another 100. And so they would give it to me because they think I'm stupid and they think I can pay for it. But you got to make sure that when you walk in, that you don't let people give you something. I'm okay, look, I drive a Toyota RAV4. I've had the Mercedes, not the Maybach, but I've had them. But in this point in my life, I'm driving a Toyota RAV4 and I like it. They laughing because they know I don't. Oh, God. It's rough. Oh, my sister. But that's okay. I'm going to keep driving it because it's paid for. But anyway. But you can make stupid decisions. I've made some myself. I went out and bought a Volkswagen Beetle, turbo, convertible. Do I look like I need to be driving that? I couldn't even get in and out of it. So we all make stupid decisions. But I recovered, I sold it, and I made my money back. So I made a wise decision. So you make wise decisions. But remember, when you're looking at your budget, the budget plan, the plan of the diligent lead to abundance. So if you make a plan, then you can it'll lead you to abundance. And so, and that's Proverbs 21:5. So be careful. If you don't, then it can send you back to poverty. Look at that. So prepare for your future and also prepare for the unexpected. Because when you prepare for the unexpected, you can think about, you know, your household can shift in that the same thing that happened to me, your mate can die. And you're stuck with trying to prepare for the future. And the one thing that you might want to think about now, young people, insurance, life insurance. Think about it, because life insurance is important. When you buy it young, it's cheaper. If you wait till you get to be my age, you can't afford it. You cannot afford it. So start now talking to insurance agents and try to get some insurance. And because, let me tell you something. My husband passed away, and when he passed away, well, first of all, he got sick. And he was sick, and when he got sick, I just barely had health insurance for him. It was a miracle that I had it at that time. So who would have thought that he would have had a stroke at 55 years old? A major stroke. And then, but I'll tell you, it's important. Life insurance is most important because you don't want to leave your children with a bill. A funeral can cost you anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000. It cost me about $20 for the funeral that I chose for my husband. So life insurance is important. And then when you think about some of you, you know, considering where you came from to transport, am I right? You might want to go back to your homeland and be buried. Then start preparing now, because that insurance can help with that. Because if your family had to pay those expenses for you, it could put them in the poorhouse. It could cause a financial hardship. And that is not fair to the next generation. Not at all. Because we should be preparing to leave a legacy. Life insurance can leave that legacy too. You can get a $100,000 policy right now. Right now. And if something happened to you, then you can pay off some debt that you've acquired. We all have had to do that. So you want to make sure that you cover your debt. And also, you can also think about term life is the cheapest. When you think about life insurance, term life is the cheapest. There's some other universal and whole life insurance policies that cost more. But if you have a home, homeowners, this is a good one for you. Instead of taking that mortgage insurance, which is a declining term, declining value, it only benefits the mortgage company, don't benefit your family. Think about getting a term life policy, because that pays to your family, and it's up to them to pay off the mortgage. But but on the other hand, whatever that face value is, then that's what it'll be if you passed away. Okay? Instead of buying a $275,000 policy and you live a few years, and by the time you pass away, it's only worth $200,000. You've wasted $75,000. So mortgage insurance is not a good investment. Term life is a better investment. Okay? Also, when you're thinking about your debt to income ratio, you can figure it for yourself. I gave you a sheet, and that shows you how to figure your own debt to income ratio. And if you need help with that, call Fidelia. She can do it. She sure can. But debt to income ratio is important. If you are over 50% debt to income ratio, you owe too much. So you need to try to get out of debt. You need to try to lower that debt to income ratio. Don't go into no financial institution with a 50% debt to income ratio and tell them you want to buy anything, because they're going to give you the worst interest rate. The worst interest rate. And it's not fair to anybody. But you can lower your debt. There's a way to do that, but that takes a long time. I can show you that one of these days, okay? Also, when you think about who can trust you, God can. Just remember that he can, because you're trying. Don't beat yourself up if you messed up, because I have. I messed up. A lot of people have. But you know what? God is, he's a God of recovery. He's a God of restoration. And so you have to just trust God. Seek him first. It said, the word says seek first the kingdom of God. When you're making decisions, seek him first. Pray and ask him about your decision making. And when you seek him first and his righteousness, then all things shall be added unto you. And remember that Matthew 6:33, my favorite scripture. So I seek God first in everything before I make any decisions. But remember that legacy is important. When you think about your children, you want to leave something behind for them. So my goal in life is to leave a legacy for those little grandchildren back there. I got one that's down in Florida. He went through college. I'm very proud of him. And he never made a student loan. Never made a student loan. He worked a job almost full time. He worked a part-time but full-time hours, and he paid his way along with some other stipends he got from the job and other, entities, but he never made a student loan. And so I worked extra 4 years because I thought that he might need me, and honestly, he never did. And so when he graduated from college, I saved the money that I was saving for him, and I was able to give him a substantial amount of money for it to start. So I'm saying that to say a savings plan is important. So save with purpose. And even for a person like me, 44 years, I worked 44 years. And if you are on a job and they have any type of 401ks, anybody got a 401k in here? All right then, good. Good. Take advantage of it. Maximize it. Start maximizing it early. This is what I did. I started when I was young, putting in that little 4%. Believe it or not, it does add up. And then every time I got a raise, every time after a certain number of years, because I was poor, real poor back then. But anyway, I started taking my raise and putting it in to my 401k. And if I had not done some of the things that I did it the way I did, when my husband, the breadwinner, lost his income, I would have been in trouble. So I was able to use some of the 401k to pull us through. Number one, but I kept maximizing, putting in the limits of the maximum limit that you can put in the 401k. I think it's up to about about 24,000 now per year, something like that. Is that right, Jeremy? 24.5. You could put that in maximum every year. And believe it or not, if you start now as a young person, you won't even miss it. I started adjusting my taxes. So I would lower what they were taking out on my taxes, and I put it in the 401k. Now, you're going to have to pay taxes till you die, right? Make sure you file your tax returns. Don't forget that. You have to pay taxes. But I started lowering my taxes and putting it in the 401k, and so that helped me to prepare for retirement. And so I could have retired sooner, but I chose not to. And but on the other hand, you gotta start thinking out of the box early. You really do. One of the things the Lord told me to tell you, don't covet nobody else's blessings. Don't do that. Because if you covet their blessings, then you won't be blessed. So, and we have to learn how to help one another. Now, y'all probably do it better in your culture than we do as African Americans. Sometimes we don't help each other like we should. So we have to help one another to do better. And you got to plan for death. If you don't have a trust account, anybody got a revocable trust or irrevocable trust? That is something I'm getting ready to set up myself because this can save taxes for my children when I die. And everybody gonna die, right? Look, we all got to go. So I think about my children, and so I'm getting ready to set up a revocable trust. So the money will be managed for them. And there's another thing. I learned something this week. As a writer, any writers in the room? We're talking about estate planning. If you're not a writer, remember that your copyright, if you don't protect your copyright, somebody else could end up with it after you die. So I got to put that in my will. I have 4 copyrights. And I don't know what they're going to do with them, but anyway, I'm going to will them to them. I ain't made no money with them, but I'm going to give them to them. So there's a lot of things. If you don't have a will, remember you need a will. And don't wait till you get old. You need a will when you have anything, especially children. Make sure you get your will. Make sure you have your power of attorney. Make sure you have your health care power of attorney because you want to make sure that your family members can talk to your medical providers. Because when my husband had the stroke, I had to produce that because he was a grown man, okay? And they didn't consider him to be incompetent. So remember those things. Get your will. Estate planning is important. The one thing that I'm about to finish up with is that God can trust you, but trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not unto your own understanding. In all your ways, no matter what you're going through, acknowledge him first, and he will direct you. He will show you what to do. And if you don't know what to do, make sure you ask somebody what to do, okay? And remember that debt is a demon. Debt is a real demon. It can cause you to have a disruption in your spiritual growth. It will cause you to have worry. So don't go out and buy all this stuff and go in bankruptcy, because the next thing after you overspend, you're headed for bankruptcy court. Bankruptcy court takes about 10 years to recover from, and sometimes you don't ever recover. And you know what? It's a demon to keep us from having the things that we should have in life that God said we could have, because we could prosper and be in health. Your health will go bad and you won't prosper financially. Now at this point, I'm going to ask, does anybody have any questions about anything financially? Mm-hmm.
So I've heard a lot that buying a home is one of the best investments that one can make. In what sense
Why?
does that, translate to what people are saying that?
It's not always the best investment. It depends on need. If you need a home, then it is the best investment. I would tell you, if you're preparing to buy a home, then make sure you have an emergency fund, first of all. Real estate is a good investment. It is a good investment. But everybody's not ready. If you don't know how to manage your rent now, don't try. Yeah, learn how to manage that rent. I used to tell people coming in to ask me for mortgages, okay, how do you pay your rent? Do you make late payments? How much is your rent? How much can you afford? And 9 times out of 10, most people would tell me what they thought they could afford, and when I looked at the numbers, they couldn't. They couldn't because, so I would sit and tell them, I would show them what they could afford and how they could get to that point. Because see, a lot of times people were thinking, well, if I pay my mortgage payment, I can pay that bill, I can pay that late. But you're ruining your credit. So the investment would be for real estate, if you can buy less than the market value, then you can start with equity. You can start with equity. Now, this market we're in now, back in 2007, I watched the market go like the value of homes went way down. People were buying at the top of the market like they're doing now. We have to watch that. Buying at the top of the market, and then all of a sudden, home values went down. And interest rates were like 11% back then. If you're buying it at an 11% interest rate, I think they're, what are they, about 7 or 8 now? Mortgage rates between 7, about 7. Yeah, they're about 7. So if you're buying at a 7% interest rate, then make sure you can afford to make that payment. I would say probably for the next 10 years at least. Interest rates are not going to go down. So if you're looking to buy, you're probably going to have that interest rate for at least 10 years. It took, for the interest rate to go down to, the lowest it got down to was like 2.75. Yeah, and so it took that rate almost 30 years to come around. We won't ever see that again, I don't think. I won't, not in my lifetime. Y'all might, but I won't. I'll be gone to glory. My father's rich in houses and land, so I'll be sitting in my mansion in the sky. But anyway, but as far as, my son is a builder, and what's your opinion, Jeremy? Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, good evening. Real estate, if I had to get some advice about real estate, to answer you, Pastor, buying a home is a good investment, but honestly, the way that we do it is a bad investment. If you're gonna buy a home, the actual perfect time to do it is to hold it for 5 to 7 years and turn it.
Yeah.
So if you buy, turn it, take the equity, and you roll it over, you do that actually 2 to 3 times, then you find a home to set in, because then that's how you build wealth, right? So a lot of times we'll buy a home and we'll stay in it forever, right? And if you never pull the equity out of it or turn over the equity, what is it really worth?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's true.
you have to, ideally, we're not taught that. We're taught to buy and hold, which is buy and hold is great, but turn it over every 5 to 7 years is actually the best way to buy.
And if you're young, then now at a young age, it would be time to buy. And if you want to start a real estate investment type company, then buy something you can put on the rental market. Stay in it a little while and put it on the rental market. And then if you decide you want to get rid of it, but make sure you're buying with equity. Okay? So overall, it is a good investment. I bought a home. I bought one 4 years ago, and I bought it at, I didn't even negotiate the price. But I have watched that home go up to more than over $200,000 in equity in 4 years. So you have to look. Now, Demetria is she's a real estate agent. So, and she's watched that. And I think that we'd have to talk a lot more about that. Yeah. But that was a good question, Pastor. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Please, if you have questions, Ms. Joyce is here. Just get the microphone and she will give you the opportunity to ask your question, okay?
Ms. Joyce, thank you very much for this remarkable presentation. What is your take or impression on investing in the stock market?
Stock market?
Yes, please.
Ooh, the stock market is very volatile right now. I'm not an investment rep, so I can't say a lot, but I watch the market, and I would say be careful. Be careful, because with everything that's going on in our economy, them dips and dives, I don't know about you. It depends on age, too. I'm at an age where I can't afford to take losses. Now, young people, you might be able to wait the market out. So, I would be careful. I just would. I've seen a lot of losses over the years. There was a time, many years ago, my husband lost over $30,000 on the market. And it was a time like now. So you have to be careful. Good question. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay.
Hi, Miss Joyce. So I know we've been talking a lot about investments and all these other things, but I know growing up, the one thing I was hearing a lot was like your credit score. So making sure your credit score is up to par, it has to be like 700 plus. Obviously, with me being young, how would you recommend like us actually establishing ground with that rather than like picking up a credit card and doing the minimum updates? Like, what are other tips for enhancing your credit score?
To increase your credit score?
Yes, ma'am.
Keep in mind, to build your credit score. It depends on what's wrong with it. Okay? Depends on what's wrong with it. Say if you got some negative credit history, some payment history problems, ain't nothing you can do about that. It's just start paying your bills on time. Don't pay a credit repair company, because you can do it yourself. It's a matter of paying what you owe, paying down large credit lines, consolidating some credit card debt. That will help. Recently, the law, it used to be that medical bills didn't affect the credit report for a short period of time. Well, I hear now that they're gonna put those back on your credit file, and they're gonna pay those medical bills off, because they are gonna affect your credit score. And so, watch your credit score. You can get a free credit report every 12 months from annualcreditreport.com. So everyone should get that, look at it, and if you see anything on there that is incorrect, dispute it. And sometimes if you dispute something that's on there, and they got 30 days, a 30-day window to put it back on your credit file, and if they don't, then it's gone. Okay? So watch it, get the credit report, and watch it, and then dispute those things that are incorrect. Watch names on credit reports. Sometimes if you got a unique name, they'll stick stuff on your credit report. I've seen that happen. If you got a name like somebody else, they'll do that. Put it on your file, and then yours.
All right, Joyce, with Esther's question. Esther recently graduated from college.
Okay.
So I think she's looking into establishing a good credit.
Good credit. Okay.
So that's where I think her focus is. So now she mentioned like 720 to have like a really good credit. So now she's asking, how does she focus on
How to
building
get
that?
that.
Exactly. You
Okay.
know, remember you said our kids should be careful of credit cards.
Right.
And most of them from college, you and I know we see this often, credit card. I think whoever tells them that on campus, I'm not sure, but, you know, they want credit card really badly.
Right.
And then they end up ruining their credit. So how do you help someone, you know, like her
Her to
to freshly
establish.
start to, yeah?
Okay, if you don't have a credit card, get one. And get a small limit. Make payments on it. Make payments on it, use it, but make payments on it. Don't pay it off every month, but make the minimum payment until, give it about 24 months, when you say, for that? About 24 months, and your credit score will start to build, because payment history is what, it's 30%, I believe it's 30%.
Yes.
30% of the credit score. So it makes up the largest portion of your credit score. But do that, if you have, do you have a car payment? If you get a car and you make payments on it, it's gonna help the bill. Just don't get more than one credit card if you have to have it. Okay, but that's how you start. Okay, but don't let them give you what they want you to have, $10,000 credit. You don't need that. Okay? You're welcome. Congratulations. Yes, ma'am?
I was going to say another way. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say another way, Ms. Joyce.
Uh-huh.
Oh, over here. Oh, over here. To answer her question, is I was going to say, I don't know if they still do it, but before, we used to offer like a secure loan where you could go in and use your own money.
That's true.
So you might could do like a $500 loan, but you put your own money up. And then they go ahead and give you your $500 and you walk away with it. But then you might have a monthly payment of $50. But it's your own money that you're borrowing against. Or you could do like a personal loan, or you do the same thing, a small amount, and then you just pay on it to build your credit.
That's it. And, you know, don't be afraid to ask for what you need when you go in these institutions. Just present yourself well, like you know what you're talking about. You'll get it. Because you do. You'll get it. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, so my question is that for us like little children and the ones who want to invest more in their money, what is the advice for us to save money and do the right decisions with it? Like what do you have to tell us children, the little ones?
How do you say, what's the advice for saving money?
Yeah.
Okay, start with pennies. Give her a present. In a jar. I got something for you, baby. You know what? Start with what you get. You get money for chores. Did your mama pay you for chores? Would you give her some money for her chores? But that's a little present for you to start. You start there, okay? Good job. Anybody else? There's another one.
What's your advice on like saving for college? Because I know like college is like very expensive, and sometimes it's hard to get scholarships and all of that. So
Well, you start with whatever you have. Number one, you make good grades. You make good grades, and then you start applying for scholarships. When you're in about the 11th grade, is it 10th or 11th? I think it's 10th or 11th. If you apply for scholarships, don't take student loans. Because if you have to have them, you gotta have them. But any way possible, look for scholarships, because there's plenty of money out here. There's a whole lot of money that's going untouched. Like, what school you go to?
Triad Math and Science Academy.
Oh, okay. That's where my grandson graduated from. Yep. But start looking for scholarships. And you start now. Look on the internet, and when you graduate, you got good grades? Great? Yes, you have. Keep them up. Keep them up, because there's money out here. Millions of dollars. Don't let nobody fool you. Get to to know the guidance.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was gonna also say, in our community, the fastest way to save money for young kids is to invest money, right? On a simple scale, right? So say we need to teach more buy low, sell high, right? So if you go somewhere and you're with your mom or your dad and you see, something that's on a bargain, right? If we should learn to teach our kids the commerce, right? How to turn dollars in a good way, right? So you buy a shirt for $5 in Facebook Marketplace. If social media is booming for selling anything, buy a shirt for $5, try to sell it for 10, right? So you do that and you take that money that you made, $5, every time that you make $1, see if you can turn it into $2. See if you can turn it to $3. And then you just let it generate, and over time, as you make some, save some, invest more. But a lot of time we will teach save, 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 but the fastest way to save is to invest on a small scale. So that is something that we should teach more effectively, but that's, my opinion.
Good evening. So while we was on the subject of college, my daughter, she goes to UNC Charlotte, but last school year, it was her first year. So we're looking for like good sites with scholarships because after, she was an honor student, but after the money, we were still paying $1,500 a month for her tuition. So what would be like good websites, because there's so much out there, but if you don't know, like what would be some good options? Because that $1,500 was killing us.
Who is her guidance counselor? Do you know her? Oh, him.
I do not. I know she, this year, she's working with someone in a financial aid office to try to pull resources.
Okay. At the school. These schools don't tell you, but they have all that information.
Yeah, because.
You just have to get to know them. Make sure they know you. Make a visit there, because she's at UNC
Charlotte.
Get to know them.
Okay.
Go down there and talk to the financial aid office and ask them for that information.
Okay.
Anybody else know a website, Tracy? Anything about a website where you can look for scholarships?
Grants.gov.
Grants.gov. Okay, because that's what you want.
Yes.
Okay?
Your credit union might have some too.
Yeah, credit union, they have, they sure do. You a member of state employees?
Yes.
Okay, so we want to let Ms. Joyce relax. We'll take the last question. And so, who is the lucky one? The last question. Go ahead, my brother. Okay, two of them. Okay, last two. All right.
The question that I have, Ms. Joyce, how you doing?
I'm good, how you doing?
Doing good. Now, I know we was talking about, saving money and everything like that. Do people still use like CD accounts? I know some people was talking about escrow and everything of that nature. Are those still like effective methods to saving money as well?
Yes, it is. CDs are still out there. They're not paying a lot of interest right now, but it's a good start. Good start. You don't have to have a big investment. Right. Okay, but then once you have more money, then you want to go talk to the investment companies. Okay, the reputable investment companies. Okay. Yes, sir.
My question is about life insurance.
About what?
Life insurance.
Okay. What's the question?
Yeah, the question is concerning me, I get one for which I pay too much. So I want to know how can I do about that to pay less.
To reduce the payment.
To pay less. To pay less.
You want to be young again.
You and I have the same problem. We cannot afford it at our age. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 69 years old. If go try to buy some insurance, I can't afford it. You know, so you know, what I would say to anybody at our age, buy a pre-need policy. That's right. Because that would be cheaper. Talk to the funeral home, buy a pre-need policy. And then all you're doing is paying in advance for your home. Or save and insure yourself. Put it in a savings account and designate it for that purpose. Do that, okay? Talk to you. Unless you got some stuff you want to sell, start selling it.
But yours, if he does the pre-need, then it keeps it at that.
That's right.
So you don't want to do it the other way, because it can change the cost.
That's right.
But when you do a pre-need, it already sets the cost.
And they can't increase it.
Yeah, it sets the cost for whenever, as opposed to if you just save it, then, you know, the funeral homes change their prices on a regular basis, but you've already got a contract in stone for that specific amount. So that pre-need do it is probably the better way than just saving the money.
Yeah, and I've witnessed that where somebody did a pre-need policy that I knew, and they bought it years ago at like, what, $7,000, and that same thing today, would, at the point they died, it would have probably been 10.
And also life insurance policies, whole life, universal life, sending kids to college, buying homes, buying cars. You know, these are cash policies. So when you're young, you can buy a cash policy for no money, like really cheap. And if you buy it at your, say, how do you say, high school, middle school? You buy it now, when you go to college, you can borrow against it to pay for your college. And then that means you have a life insurance policy on top of that, because make sure cash policies, you can do anything from an investment standpoint. The interest rates are lower to borrow against it, and you still have the cash value if you die. So that's ways to actually get ahead. And long-term disability policies.
Can I have another gift? Okay. Favor, Teresa's son, where is he? Is he still here? Oh, I got one for you. He was the first one here. Come on. And I can go and see him. Thank you, baby. Okay, do I have two more? Okay, wait a minute. Two more that are under the age of 10. Who's under the age of 10? Not you, Griffin. Grandma got you. Okay, give it to him. Give him a gift. Is there another? Thank you, baby. So sweet. That's sweet. Look, wait a minute. 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 Okay, all right. But if anybody has a person that you don't want to talk about it publicly, there's a box right here Darce has, and you can write a note and put it in there and give me your phone number and your name, and I will call you. Just put it in the box, okay? All right, and I thank you for your attention.